Star Wars 7x7, episode 2595. A couple of months ago, there was an interview with Leslye Headland, who is the showrunner for The Acolyte, a live-action series coming to Disney Plus at some point, and I wanted to talk about it, and I wanted to talk about logistics about it because we've had some new information in the intervening months that might bear on when we'll actually see the show. Punch it. Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod, and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy, and thank you so much for joining me for it. So first of all, I'm going to say right off the bat that I will be posting a link to the interview in the blog post for the show's episode at sw7x7.com and in the show notes for the episode, so you can check it out because it is a really good interview and it makes me excited for Leslye Headland being somebody running a Star Wars show. She is deeply invested in it and fascinated by Star Wars and fascinated by other people's experience of Star Wars, to the point where when she talks about hiring a writer's room, she looked for people with, different opinions about Star Wars, people who had their own particular views, and even people who were not familiar with Star Wars at all, but who still had to obviously do the due diligence to be able to come to the table with something useful and also, with the writing skills naturally. But that particular thing about the fact that she's hired a writer's room, and so now there are a group of writers who are already assembled to break the story of The Acolyte, well, that's a rather important milestone as far as production of the Acolyte TV series goes. And just to give you an idea for comparison, it was in November of 2017 that Jon Favreau pitched The Mandalorian to Kathleen Kennedy, and it was, I've heard different stories about this. I've heard that he did 4 scripts prior to going into this pitch, but in reading the Art of the Mandalorian book, it seems to suggest that Jon Favreau wrote 2 scripts over the holiday break in 2017. So yeah, maybe it wasn't necessarily all written. Maybe he just had treatments for the 4 or something like that. But the place that I'm going with this is that from November of 2017 to October of 2018, that was 9 months of pre-production and all sorts of prep work happening before they got on set and started shooting. And they started shooting both Chapter 1, The Mandalorian, and Chapter 3, The Sin, because both of those episodes took place primarily in the same location, right on the, oh gosh, why did the planet's name just run out of my head? It's Navarro. I thought it was Navarro. I had that come to my brain after I stopped the recording, and then I was like, double check, just be sure. So I double checked. It's Navarro. Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure. Anyway, so it was almost a year from November 2017 to October of 2018 for The Mandalorian to ramp up production to the point where they could actually start principal photography. And it was about a year, maybe a little more, from principal photography to the actual release of the first episode of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. So if you apply that timeline to what's going on with The Acolyte and say, okay, the hiring of the writer's room means that scripts haven't even been written yet, but that seems to be what they were indicating with The Art of the Mandalorian as well, that scripts were just starting to be written in December of 2017, and even if Jon Favreau showed up with 4 scripts at a pitch, there were still 4 scripts that needed to be written, and I'm sure there needed to be a lot of work on the existing 4, so yeah, let's not split too many hairs about that, and just simply say that it's about 2 years from the pitch approval to the actual debut of the show on Disney Plus. If that timing works with The Acolyte, then we're talking about a 2023 release of The Acolyte. But I'm not sure that that's exactly right. One thing that The Acolyte does have going for it that could make it a sooner rather than later thing is the building of the new StageCraft locations, aka the volume, right? Like that big circular LED lit set that they have. So at the Disney investor call back in December, they announced that they were building 3 more sets, one in Los Angeles, one at Pinewood in London, and one in Australia. And they didn't necessarily say when they were going to be completed, when they would actually be in action. Well, I did some digging, and apparently the Australia one was used for Thor: Love and Thunder, so it's already operational, and other news reports suggested that the London one was supposed to be operational in February of this year, and Los Angeles' second one was supposed to be operational in March of this year. So it seems like they have the capacity and the capability to go with this thing as soon as they're ready. But here is the other twist with new information that has come out in the intervening time period. The High Republic is supposed to be broken up into 3 phases, and as we recently learned, phase 1 is going to be ending in the first part of 2022. So there were actually 3 waves within phase 1. If you want to take that and extrapolate, if you will, then that means phase 2 of the High Republic initiative is going to have 3 waves as well. And if the timing is roughly the same, well, then that means that phase 2 of the High Republic initiative will be over by the end of 2023. And wave 3 won't actually start until 2024, the beginning of 2024 in specific. So, what does that mean for us? Well, according to what little we've been told about the Acolyte, the story is supposed to be set in the last days of the High Republic. So, it's kind of hard to imagine phase 2 of the High Republic storytelling initiative being the end of the High Republic, right? You know, and I mean, maybe phase 3 is like what happens after the High Republic? I don't think so. It seems like that would be the end of the High Republic era in phase 3. And so you would expect a TV show related to that to be coming out during that phase 3 time period as well. So even though it's possible it could be ready in time for 2023, I think we're looking at a 2024 date for the Acolyte. And the other thing I think we have to consider about this is that even though Leslye Headland has hired her writer's room, it's not just about writing the scripts for this show, however many episodes it's going to be and all that. It's also about coming up to speed on the whole High Republic mega storytelling initiative. And so that means that they're probably going to be spending a lot of time with the story architects of the High Republic and story group and all sorts of other folks at Lucasfilm to get up to speed on that project. And, you know, that's kind of a different situation from, say, what Robert Rodriguez is doing with the Book of Boba Fett, right? Or, you know, what Dave Filoni will be doing with Ahsoka. I mean, there's already a lot of momentum there, and it's not like there's going to be a huge learning curve in the same way that there would be for Leslye Headland's team getting on board with the High Republic. So yeah, I do think that realistically speaking, we're probably waiting until 2024 for the Acolyte, and hey, that's okay because I have a feeling we're gonna have a lot of other things to tide us over until then, including Andor and Kenobi and Book of Boba Fett Season 1 and Mandalorian Season 3, and then Rogue Squadron will be showing up in theaters in December 2023. So yeah, there's a lot to keep us occupied before the Acolyte comes around, which is good. And that right there is what I've got for you for today's episode of the show, and it just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for it as always, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2021 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.